Hello, in today's video we're going to be looking at the iFi Go Bar. It's a on-the-go, hence the name, audio DAC from iFi, one of their really high-level, high-res audio DACs. And this one, similar to the Go Link, is designed for mobile use. Chuck it in your bag and away you go. Unlike the Go Link though, this is up there at the top of the standards. It really has got everything that you'd expect from a really high-end audio DAC, but in a really small form factor that you can chuck in your bag and use on the go. Just to start with its main features, like all the other iFi DACs, it supports all of the PCM up to 384 kilohertz, DSD, DXD, MQA. Absolutely everything is supported. It also has the their X-Space and X-Bass available, which is quite useful when using with particularly open back headphones and things like that. It also has their IE match, which is designed to work especially well if you have high powered or just odd headphones. It will try and match quite closely to what is required, and it will adjust the output to match these headphones better. If you go through the specs, you can see the difference in impedance and things when setting with the IE mode. I found it quite useful with the with my open back headphones, but we'll speak more about that at the review. Another thing of note is that it supports balanced, so it's got a 4.4mm input as well as a 3.5mm input. So any headphones are going to work with this out of the box. So I've been noticing in the retention of the videos that no one really wants to watch an unboxing, but if you are the few that do, just throw a comment in the comment section and maybe I'll change the videos again. But for now, I'm just going to show a picture of what's in the box and just explain it. So in the box, you get the Go Link itself. As I say, it's got the two inputs and the USB-C at the back. And that will plug into one of the two cables that are provided with it. So you've got a USB-C to C. And you also have a converter to switch that back to USB-A if you need to plug it into a PC that doesn't have a USB-C port. And you also have a lightning to USB-C, so you can plug it into your iPhone. So I don't think there's really any devices that this can't be plugged into that are digital. And also, which I thought was quite nifty, is a nice leather carrying case. It's a small leather case with a belt buckle clip on the back. You'll fit the Go Bar in it, as well as one of the cables, probably both the cables if at a squeeze, and yeah, it just keeps it nice and neat and tidy. As I say, this thing's designed for on the go, and you can just throw everything in there and know that it's not going to get all scratched up or anything like that. So now let's move swiftly on into the testing data. Hopefully you've seen our previous video on how we test DACs. I'll throw a link at the top of the screen just to show you exactly what method we use in testing these DACs. But yeah, here's the testing section of the video. So testing of the iFi Go Bar, I'm going to start with the default setting. So the PC volume was set 100%. I've set the amplifier at 50%, and this is with no other settings enabled. And as you can see straight away, you've got a nice tight line from edge to edge of the chart, showing that you've got a very, very clean and undistorted sound from across the spectrum. We do notice a slight dip in the mid-range. This might be a bit of equalising done by iFi, but it only seems to show in the default. So if I add any other settings, this blip seems to disappear. So I'm not sure if this was planned as sort of a signature sound, but it's definitely there in the default version of the testing. Also, you can see it's quite loud. I've done an arrow in green here to show how far it comes down. This is remembering at 50% on the amplifier, and it maintains that loudness across the spectrum. It does so a little bit more with the IE enabled, but we'll go into that in a minute. And once again with iFi, you've got a massive usable range in the spectrum. It's getting really to the top and bottom end of the spectrums that you're actually just starting to see a bit of change, but this is inaudible generally. When compared to the iFi Uno that I tested recently, you can see they're very, very similar. Remembering that this is being tested at 50% on the amplifier, so the output is very, very similar. So there's obviously a lot more on the throttle that you could have with the Go Bar, but it maintains that nice tight sound similar to the iFi Uno. It is slightly tighter when you look at these really zoomed in. Next, I'll just throw up the PC generic test that I've done and shown a couple of times. This is a bit of a baseline of how things shouldn't be. As you can see, the line's much wider, so you're getting a lot more distortion from end to end. As you get into the high mids, there's a lot of distortion there, and you're not getting a real good representation of the sound that you should be hearing. Polar opposite of what you're getting from the iFi Go bar. Testing of the X bass doesn't really show up anything on my test data. You can hear an audible difference, but it doesn't actually show up in the frequency testing. However, it is worth noting that dip in the mid-lows is removed. The same is not true when we test the X bass. As you can see, if I do a slow fade, you can see there's a increase in the sub-bass and bass areas of the chart. And it does this very cleanly without adding any extra distortion across that range. Next, we tested the IE mode, and this is to try and match the amplified output to your device or headphones or whatever you've got plugged in. And as you can see, if I overlay the default settings, the volume is actually reduced across the range. And I found this in my listening tests with my headphones as well. However, this is done in a way to straighten out the overall curve of the spectrum. At the lowest point of the sub-bass and the highest point of the brilliance sections, they remain very similar in audible volume. However, the curve in between them areas is reduced to have an overall flatter sound all the way across the spectrum, which, with the addition of the amplifier that you can use to boost it back up again, gives you a flatter, more accurate sound across the range, specifically for your device. And in practice does work really well. So in review, as you can see from the charts, it has a really tight sound. Even compared to the iFi Go Link that we tested recently, the difference is minute, but there is definitely a difference there, where all of the sounds coming from this is just that little bit tighter. And as I say, the addition of the X bass and the X bass really adds an effect onto the to my open back headphones, definitely. And every time iFi send me one of these DACs to review, I really enjoy the time I get to spend with them, just giving me an excuse to sit and listen to music and films and things like that, just to really give them a good testing. So I can't complain. The build quality is really good. It's like an aluminium outer frame, but it feels really solid. I don't have any worries about if you threw this in the bottom of your bag, you really wouldn't need to worry about it. It's got like a diamond cut edge on the face. I will say that the text on the front of the device is a bit difficult to read, but sort of muscle memory, after a little while you figure out what it all means, and it's quite simple to drive and steer, using the volume buttons on the side and things like that. They're quite well laid out, like an old Walkman, you know, where you sort of get the muscle memory and you know where the buttons are. It's sort of in that sort of design, and it's quite easy to get used to controlling it in your pocket if you need to. Volume wise, it's really powerful for the size. It's impressive, really. I think my wife came in at one point and sort of said, "You realise I can hear that?" I was like, "Yeah, open back headphones are like that." And she's like, "Yeah, but I'm in the other room." So there's no problem. It can definitely pack a punch, especially for the form factor. It's incredible, really. The last thing to mention is the price. It is expensive. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. Compared to things like the Go Link, it's definitely up there, but it has got a lot of features for that money. If you're looking for a cheaper DAC, the Go Link is probably the one for you for mobile, but if you're looking for all the features and an amplifier in such a small form factor, this is probably the only thing on the market at this sort of scale. So yeah, I've really enjoyed making this review on the Go Bar. There'll be more videos like this in the future, so stick around and hopefully like and subscribe. If there's anything specifically you'd like to hear more about, or if there was a specific device you want me to work on making a review of next, throw your comments in the comment section and I'll always get back to you. But other than that, I hope you've enjoyed it, and like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Thanks.